Hey guys, Rollout here, and welcome to a very special episode of Builder's Block. Bricks Cascade just wrapped up, and while I made some progress on Barricade early in the week, thanks to everyone who sent emails and commented suggestions for that, by the way, we're mostly going to take a look at some of the creations that caught my attention on the convention floor. I'm actually still a little tired, but I've had a couple days to rest up, so we're getting it done. Before I start, I do want to remind you all to like the video if you haven't already. Also, check out my Patreon page where I post daily content if you want to help support the show. Thanks, guys, and without further ado, let's get started. Hot on the heels of last week, I started by making some changes to Barricade. First, I switched out all of the hinges in his arms so that the vehicle mode stays together a little bit better. But of course, the main change that I made was I added a spoiler. It's a little bit oversized, but I think that kind of justifies the more cartoony proportions of the rest of the car. It makes everything look a little bit more in place, if that makes any sense. The spoiler does wonders to hide a lot of the gaps towards the rear. Yes, you can still see his hands, but I think this looks a whole lot better. I also moved the wheels a little bit further back, and I'm really happy with the way this looks. In robot mode, that spoiler can kind of hinge up and split in half to become an approximation of his wings. So that is, again, like I said last week, two birds that I hit with one stone. I also built an approximation of his weapon on this day. I wasn't quite happy with it, and I would make changes to it in the future, but this is a start. On the next day, I decided to put together a frenzy to go with my Barricade. He's terribly out of scale. He's not in scale with Barricade or a minifigure, but I built him to be in style with my Ravage and Laserbeak, the ones that I built for Soundwave. Now you can see that his body is dark bluish gray. That'll end up being light bluish gray. They do make robot bodies in that color, but they are very rare. They came in a single train set from 2007, I think. So it'll be a little bit tricky to get my hands on one of those, but when I do, Frenzy will be all properly colored. He'll be entirely gray, which I guess is a little bit boring. I could make his body silver, but then I'd have to incorporate silver into the rest of the color scheme to justify that, and I don't really want to bother with it. I think he'll look fine completely light bluish gray. He's spindly, he's kind of disgusting, but hey, that is Frenzy. Here he is alongside Ravage and Laserbeak for comparison. So, on the next day, it was Bricks Cascade Eve, and Starscreamer came over, who has moved to Oregon from Idaho, by the way, so you'll probably start seeing more collaborations from us in the future. Either way, he came over, and we prepared for the con, so we packed everything up, we got everything ready, and we needed to make some last-minute changes to some of our builds. We needed to look for some parts, so we went on a Lego shopping spree to all of the bricks and minifigs in the area, as well as the Lego store proper. And by the time I got home, I just didn't feel like building anything, ironically, but I got some stuff done and made a few changes to certain things. First of all, I found the pieces I needed to finish Drasil, the rounded elements in the corners in green. So he is done, the blade breakers are done, and that is good. I also completely rebuilt Barricade's weapon. It's similar in spirit with the minifigure hands, but I shifted them a little bit, I added the wheels, and I also built it around this Technic bar so that it actually spins. So that is pretty cool. Moving on to Bricks Cascade. It's worth mentioning that the reality show LEGO Masters is currently airing in its first season on Fox, and the Bearded Builders are from the Portland, Oregon area. I've known those guys for years. I've been friends with Mark especially, and they brought along a bunch of their friends from the show this year. So a lot of the contestants from LEGO Masters were at the convention. And obviously that was a huge draw for crowds because there were so many people there this year. It was super crowded, and maybe that's the reason that Bricks Cascade took so much out of me. I am not usually this tired by the end of it, but my legs were sore and I was just wrecked. But it was still a lot of fun, as always, and I want to show you guys some of the things that caught my eye from the convention floor this year. So let's start by talking about the Aardvark theme. So every single year, architecture is first on the list, and there ends up being a bunch of people who register their mocks in that category accidentally because they aren't paying attention. So this year there is now an Aardvark theme, which is very first on the list, and if you accidentally register your mock wrong, you'll be caught in Aardvark. So of course, there being an Aardvark theme, some people decided to actually build Aardvarks, myself included. So I built Trowel for this category. You can see him in the corner there. You can catch a glimpse of his robot mode, but there's also an Arthur Brickheads, there's a baby Aardvark, there's the Year of the Aardvark statue, and incidentally, there is a second transformer in the Aardvark theme. Somebody built a Ravage that actually transforms into the letter A. I'm not sure about the whole story there, but because of its transformation, it splits in half and it becomes two A's. So it's in the Aardvark section. I thought that was kind of funny. I also brought some stuff for the Bionicle theme. I brought my brick-built Mask of Ultimate Power, as well as a bunch of my Tohunga or Matoran with brick-built accessories. So that was kind of my niche in this section this year. Brick-built accessories for Bionicle characters. But y'all probably want to look at my main Transformers display. I display my Transformers in mecha. They are robot characters. I feel that is most appropriate. I usually take up 2 tables every year, and this is pretty much what it looks like every single year. Once again, you can catch a glimpse of one of my new guys, Breakthrough, there over on the left. But yeah, I've built 2 of every single Transformer here so that they can be displayed in both modes. I did bring along Barricade, even though he is too new for me to have built a second one. I also brought along the old Quick Stop there, just for fun. Here is the other table. I've got some of my mecha in the background there, as well as Gridman, and all of my movie Transformers. I still have not built a second Devastator yet, but I'm thinking about it now. Over to the right are some Macross creations. These are all in fighter mode at the moment, but they do transform, and they are incredible. You have some custom ones on the right, a classic space-themed one, and then this car carrier one, and then you have a more traditional Gulag and VF4, as well as a little Vic Viper there, which is, I think, another unoriginal design. But all of these can transform into both Gerwalk and Batroid mode, and here they are in Batroid mode. These are really, really well done. These were built by my buddy William. You also can probably glimpse some of Starscreamer's creations here. So up above, he brought a Monarch Titan in some custom colors. He also built a Metabee this year from Metabots based on Moko's design. But his biggest project this year was the Brick Bastion from Overwatch. In Overwatch, Bastion has a skin where he is built out of Lego. And so Starscreamer, he rebuilt it to the specifications of the game. So this is probably as accurate as you can possibly get. He did change the light blue to a dark blue because parts availability makes that a little bit easier, but otherwise it's very, very accurate. He also finally finished his Gurren Lagann that he's been working on for years, and all of that work has really paid off in my opinion because this thing looks amazing. I am so proud of it, and I can't wait for him to make a video on it in the future. Of course, he also brought some Transformers, all of the Dinobots, Starscream, and Soundwave and Blaster. He also brought the Abomination in the back, the Emojitron mecha there with posable hands and swappable faces, which definitely caught a lot of people's attention. There were some other Transformers across the floor. This one over here in Mecha, which unfortunately does not transform. It is just a separate robot and a vehicle, but I think the design is pretty cool. There were also a bunch of Transformers in pop culture. That tends to happen. It's not necessarily inappropriate, I feel. I just prefer to put my mocks in Mecha. But we have this Optimus Prime helmet, which is very, very cool. It's kind of styled off Tron, a little bit Nemesis Prime-y or Scourge-y. But then Kalen also built a ton of Transformer figures. Again, these don't transform, but they are pretty cool statues. There is animated Starscream, movie Bumblebee and Drift, Barricade, and then we've got G1 Soundwave, Shockwave, and a Beast Wars Waspinator. He also built a Devastator over in micro scale. So there were 2 Devastators on the floor, and that is pretty fun. There was also a Pyramids of Giza creation over in, I don't know where this was, architecture maybe, but we found this as a ripe opportunity, and we asked Stephen Bishop if we could use it for a photo op. So we posed our Devastators up on one of the pyramids, and that was a whole lot of fun. There is Devastator ruling on high, which is appropriate because this year, Devastator actually won an award. Both myself and Starscreamer won trophies this year. His Bastion won for cross-contamination, which is basically mixing 2 themes together. I guess Bastion would be pop culture and mecha, and it kind of works on multiple levels because in the game, it's Bastion, but made out of Lego, and then he made it in reality. So I think it's, again, fairly appropriate. And then Devastator won for Best Team or Combiner, and I was the only one who brought anything that actually combined both Devastator and Skyterra. So, yeah, Devastator took that, and these trophies are pretty cool this year. The cross-contamination one, of course, is like a robot thinking of multiple different themes, and then the combiner one is called All Form the Head, and it's sort of a Voltron-alike or a Megazord-alike. Now, every year at the end of the convention, everyone lines their sig fig up on a large creation, and this year, some dude built this massive bridge replica, and so we all crashed it, and I usually hide Quickstop among the crowd. He is my signature Transformer. He's the closest thing to a sig fig I have, so there he is with the rest of the minifigures. And I just want to say, for the record, nobody did anything like this until I started doing it. The first year that I put Quickstop among the crowd, he was the only brick-built character, and now other people are doing it. I don't want to say that I did it first, but it sure feels like I did it first. But anyway, there is Quickstop. And that is the last of the pictures I have from Bricks Cascade. It was a heck of a year, and it took a lot out of me, like I said. But again, it was a lot of fun. I want to give a big shout out to my buddies Blair, Kyle, William, Sam, and Mark. Also Patrick for hooking me up with some Bionicle parts I needed. You guys are awesome. There felt like a bigger sentiment to stay connected between conventions this year, so I'd really like to attend lug meetups and generally just hang out and collaborate more. I also want to try and make it to more conventions cross-country in the future, so wish me luck, and here's to that. As always, I've got to thank my Patreon supporters for helping make all of this possible, especially my leader class patrons, Cruciferous Belligerents, Toa Ventron, Valraven, and Dan Maylink. Until next time, this has been Rollout, signing off.